Hey Coastline, so this past weekend I celebrated 11 years of knowing Jesus. And as I do on every 3rd of May, I took some time to look back on my last year with the Lord. And what I've found every year without fail in doing this is I found God's faithfulness. Now, whether it was an amazing year or a not so amazing year, I'm always able to find his faithfulness. I'm always able to see where he's come through for me and who he's been for me. But the cool thing is that when I recognize his past faithfulness, my faith for today and my faith for the future is immediately renewed because I'm reminded about who he is. Now, this idea of looking back on God's past faithfulness so that our faith is renewed for today isn't a new idea. It's actually a very biblical idea. We see it multiple times throughout Scripture. But the story that always kind of hits it home for me is found in Joshua. Now, in the book of Joshua, the Israelites are about to go into their promised land. They've been wandering the wilderness for 40 years, and it's finally about to happen. And so they're crossing the River Jordan, but as they do, they actually collect stones so that they can build a memorial. And so Joshua chapter 4 explains a little bit about why that is. So starting in verse 5, it says, "And Joshua said to them, 'Pass on before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of the Jordan, and take up each of you a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the people of Israel, that this may be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, what do these stones mean to you? Then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the people of Israel a memorial forever.'" They build this memorial so that for generations to come, people will know who God is, that he is the promise keeper, that he is the faithful one. Now, this idea really sank in for me a few years ago when I helped run a worship school. And this particular year of the worship school, it wasn't looking good. We didn't have enough students. Our finances were iffy. It just didn't look like it was going to happen. And I remember sitting on the beach having this conversation with the Lord about it and just saying, what's going on? I feel like you said this was going to happen. I feel like we've done everything you've asked, but in the natural, there is no way this is going to happen. So what are we supposed to do? And he said, "How faithful have I been in the past?" And he actually had me list out all the ways he's come through for us at this particular school. And as he did, as I listed all of these things, I actually started collecting stones. And I said, "Oh yeah, you did that this year. And all that year, yeah, you were really faithful in that area. And you came through in finances there. And there was the breakthrough in that student there." And I started creating a pile of these stones, a pile of God's past faithfulness. And then he said, "Now what do you still need me to do?" And I started making that list. But as I made that list, I actually took the stones off one by one. And so I said, okay, well, I need at least 3 students. So, okay, 1, 2, 3. And, I need this much money. And I need this person to get on board. And I started making that list, one by one, taking those stones off. But what I found at the end of it is that my pile of the things I needed him to come through for me in was way smaller than that massive group that showed me how faithful he'd been in the past. That actually, the breakthrough areas I still needed was nothing compared to his great faithfulness. And automatically, instantaneously, my faith was completely renewed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is who you are. You are the faithful one. You are the God of breakthrough. You are the God of provision. And I was reminded not just of what he's done, but of who he is. Because he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so my challenge for you guys this week, my encouragement to you this week, is to make a list. Make a list of all his past faithfulness to you. Now, you might want to do this in a particular area. That's what I did that day. It was specifically about the school I was working with. Maybe you want to do it for your past year or the past few months. but make a list. Remind yourself of all the ways he's come through for you. And then you can make a list of all the things you might need some breakthrough in still. Because the reality of life, especially in this season, is that you probably have areas that you need breakthrough in, that you need God to be faithful in. And that's okay. You can be honest with him about it. But what you'll find is that those areas are way smaller to the bigness of who he is and the greatness of his past faithfulness to you. So remember that, church, that he is faithful. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so he's going to come through for you. So hope you guys are doing well, having a good week and staying safe. And hopefully I get to see you soon. See ya.